Winterpeg takes on an entirely new identity in Matthew Dyck's graphic sci-fi western. Describe Winterpeg in a post-apocalyptic world. What does it look like in this novel?
It takes place about 100 years in the future, and an experiment to stop global warming has instead left the world frozen over completely. Since ocean levels had risen so high, only Winnipeg's few tall buildings kind of poke up through the ice, and so it's kind of an Arctic wasteland that only a few survivors live in, and they're met by some cannibal marauders in my comic book.
I was reading the description on your Facebook page, and you leave me in suspense. What made you want to write a graphic novel? When you start thinking about what you want to do for your IPPs, you can literally do pretty much anything. I mean, there are limits, but it's entirely up to you. So what was it? Why did you want to do a graphic novel?
Drawing has been a hobby of mine since I was a little kid, and in the past few years I've gotten into creative writing a lot more, so I felt like doing a project that would marry those two interests.
And were there any challenges on, putting the text to the images and the art that you do?
Yeah, it's my instructor said that it's a miracle of planning, and he's right. I mean, the more planning you can do with layout and with writing the story, the better off you'll be. And it's been a huge learning process, just figuring out how the pacing of the story will be, and leaving room for word bubbles is huge. It was a huge learning process, and I really had to use a ton of the skills that I've learned in the program in order to do it, with using Adobe InDesign, Photoshop, Illustrator, and also just getting back into drawing. And I was a bit rusty when I started the comic book, but kind of getting back into that and trying to figure out just how the story's going to play out.
And Winterpeg is your first graphic novel. Is this something that you are going to carry on with? Are you planning on doing any more?
I'll first just say that it's a comic book. Like it's the length of a comic book, so that's okay. That's okay. So it's people shouldn't expect to get like a novel length, but it's a standalone comic book. I'm definitely going to keep doing it. What I used to do before this was create one-page comic books, so just these one-pagers that kind of set a scene, really brief. And I think I'm going to go back to doing that a little bit and create just very short one-page sort of illustrated stories.
What is a sci-fi western? I meant to ask you this right off the top. What is a graphic sci-fi western?
Well, it's basically a sci-fi, in my case anyway, it's a sci-fi story that incorporates some western elements. So you can see on the cover there, one of the main characters wears a sort of wide-brimmed cowboy hat and covers herself in a sort of poncho. The landscape of Winterpeg also kind of resembles Monument Valley in the way that these buildings kind of poke through the ice and they have these layers of snow around them. So some of the images kind of convey a Western feel.
Now, the IPP, Creative Communications is known for being an intense program on top of a jam-packed work and class schedule and challenging work. You're expected to not just, create a comic book from scratch. How does it feel to be done?
It feels amazing to be done, yeah. Just knowing that I won't have to be up until 4 a.m. tonight working on Photoshop. Yeah, I mean, there were some weekends where I remember one Saturday I spent 15, 16 hours on it. I've done longer days than that. You don't get a whole lot of sleep if you are making a comic book from scratch during Pre-Com. Yeah, you've got to do some late nights, some early mornings. It was a lot of work, but.
Well, congratulations. It looks awesome. I've only browsed through it. It looks great. If people want more information on the comic book, where can they go for that?
They can go to Facebook, facebook.com/winterpegcomic, and I'm still working on the website, but it'll be up in a couple days, and that's winterpegcomic.com.
Great. Thank you so much, Matthew.
Thank you.
Awesome.